Welcome back to another edition of the Net Report podcast. I'm your host, Mike Broadbent. Joining me once again are my co-hosts, Richie O'Leary and Alec Krauthamel. Today, we're going to give you the latest on what's going on with the athletic director search, talk about the candidates and where we are in the process. And we've also got some recruiting updates to discuss on the football side. The Rivals 300 for the class of 2026 has been released. We'll talk about where some of Rutgers' top targets landed on that list. And we'll also talk about the 2027 class because there's quite a few players on that 2027 Rivals 300 that Rutgers is heavily involved with. So we'll get into who those players are and how many of those players might end up as a Scarlet Knight. But first, let's talk about the athletic director vacancy. We're almost in a full calendar year without an athletic director. Rutgers recently named an interim after Ryan Passari left to be the full-time athletic director at Tufts University. Richie, talk about who the interim is and what's going on with the search generally.
I'm going to butcher this one because I just somehow butcher everyone's last name. It's Matthew Colagiovanni. It sounds about right? That's pretty good.
You sounded confident saying it, so I'm going to go with you're right.
Yeah, sounds very Italian, so it sounds about right.
Ryan Passari, Colagiovanni, if you're an Italian in New Jersey and you have any types of athletic department experience, you're probably at Rutgers. But yeah, no, he is the interim. He doesn't start technically till July 19th, so we still got a couple days technically till he takes over. A little bit weird of timing wise. I think this is more specifically just because of Ryan Passari obviously leaving for the Tufts University job. But he's technically not starting till August 1st. So I think it was more of, all right, Ryan, you could leave early. We'll find someone to replace you. On top of that, he gets a little boost to his retirement plan. So that's always nice. So it feels like it's more of like just I'm going to give you a little bit of help here for future days. And it's not like they really have any power. Like they're not going to go out and fire a coach, or they're really not going to do much fundraising. This is a guy that did a lot with facilities throughout the years at Rutgers. He's been at Rutgers for 24 years now. He was the assistant director of facilities, the associate AD of facilities, part of the Big Ten COVID-19 task force. He's the sports admin for football, soccer, men's lacrosse, cross country. So he's just been with the university for a while. He understands it, and you're honestly just running out of names at this point. So it's like,
yeah, he's been at Rutgers since 2001.
That's insane
crazy
to say.
Yeah.
He's been through so many different things happening at Rutgers.
Yep.
From the hiring of Greg Schiano to now Greg Schiano leaving to the hiring of Flood, Ash, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, it's just like a temporary bump, it seems. They'll get him a nice little pay boost in the meantime until they can figure out the situation with the official athletic director. So nothing crazy, just another name to throw in the hat, I guess, basically. But he's not going to be considered for AD. Just put it out there.
All right, so he's not going to be considered for the AD. Who is going to be considered? Let's talk about the top candidate and the one who has an offer on the table to become the next athletic director or whatever the equivalent role is going to be in the future, because it might not necessarily just be athletic director. Talk about that candidate.
That's Brian LaFemina. I know we've said he has an offer. Is it still on the table? I don't know. We know he had an offer in front of him.
Seems like it is.
Put it like that. It sounds like he had an offer in front of him. Sounds like it was very close to being done a couple weeks ago. This is the same name that we've hinted at multiple times on the pod, on the boards, et cetera, et cetera. 1989 grad, Rutgers University, economics degree, and was a member of the swimming and diving team in 85, 86. So long-term Rutgers guy. If you go on his social media profiles, he was at the blackout game last year. He's at multiple games every season. He loves Rutgers. He's worked in the business world. He spent 20 plus years at MSG, working his way all the way up to, senior vice president, managing the operations for the Knicks and the Rangers. So he's got a lot of business connects. He was also the president of business ops and the COO of the Washington, now Commanders, formerly Redskins, for a year, ended up leaving. And a little bit weird dynamic there leaving. I know, honestly, anyone working for Dan Snyder, there's got to be some question marks there. But when he left,
I think you also get a pass because he was very volatile. He fired so many guys very quickly, held on to guys for way too long at the same time. So
the thing that makes it weird is that he left, and then 40 plus employees left at the same time. They when LaFemina got fired, they said we're leaving too. So that means that he definitely had some people in his background, the people that liked him, and probably people that just weren't going to put up with the whole Schneider nonsense. But neither here nor there. Worked as the CBO for the LA 2028 Olympics. Traveled out for the Paris Olympics recently and got to see that and kind of see how the backings of that works, and was kind of focusing on just getting LA prepped for everything that's coming in the next couple years. But then more recently, he was hired with a private equity firm with Arctos Partners, I believe it's called.
Yep.
Basically, just kind of making deals in the business world. It's nothing too crazy, and this is kind of what Rutgers wants. They want to be different. They want to hire someone that's not a typical AD that's going to sit here and just pencil push and hit the same donors nonstop. He wants someone that can expand the state of Rutgers when it comes to the business world and when it comes to NIL, when it comes to just getting money and revenue into this athletic department, not just a single program. So he is still the top name. We'll see if it ends up happening or not, but he does have a lot of connects between NFL, Olympics, and now in private equity. Everyone I've talked to so far just raves about the guy and how nice he is and how well he's able to approach them and how he's just able to raise funds for even the smallest things. So I think it would be a good hire. He'd also get an AD behind him. I shouldn't say AD behind him. It'd be like their number 2. It'd be like a Sarah Baumgartner, but that AD would help him run the sports department, someone that has experience in that sports department. And I guess we could just kind of say like the name we've heard, right? Because it's on the boards already too. So it's Sean Frazier. We've heard about him. There's obviously other names out there for that number 2 role. I would say Sean Frazier is probably the number 1 for that number 2 role. If that makes sense. But yeah, it seems like as of right now, the BOG, the Board of Governors, wants this 1 and 2 to happen. Will it happen? Who knows? We'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, I think the connection with Frazier, obviously he was a finalist at I think at least one point for the Rutgers AD role in the past.
Mm-hmm.
But additionally, he's got a relationship with the new president, William Tate. Tate was a track athlete in Northern Illinois, and Frazier's been the Northern Illinois athletic director for almost a decade. So I think there's some relationship there through that. And it makes sense where, there was an interview on a podcast. I forget which podcast it was. It was like a sports media podcast where they were talking about, they were talking to one of the people from Turnkey and discussing the different paradigms for how athletic departments are structured in 2025. And they first mentioned like a more traditional structuring, like they helped Maryland find their new athletic director. And then they discussed, people kind of restructuring it to be run more like a professional sports organization. And they mentioned that's the model that Rutgers was looking into. So I would assume that like a number 2 would assume like the day-to-day roles of running an athletic department, while Lafemina or whoever ends up being the CEO of athletics, for lack of a better term, would be just largely responsible for like the business of the athletic department. So making sure that everyone had everything they needed, looking at the financials and how to increase revenue and, get involved with different business groups and just bumping up the amount of money poured into the department from different sources. Alec, what's your thoughts on kind of how the athletic department search or the athletic director search has gone thus far, and just anything that you wanted to mention regarding this?
Well, the search obviously has not gone, as we've talked about in length throughout the 11 months, has not gone the way we really expected, or probably what a lot of people wanted it to go. But I definitely like the direction that they're going. Like you said, it's going to be kind of like a CEO of athletics type role that they're looking for. If they do bring in someone like Lafemina, and then someone like Frazier could be, I guess, like a COO, I guess would be the term, running the day-to-day stuff, things like that. So I do like the direction that's going. They just need someone that can bring in, like Richie said, so that can bring in revenue to the athletics department. And being in this area, obviously you got New York, one of the business capitals of the entire country. There's definitely a bit of an untapped market there. Especially with private equity, as it's kind of starting to, there have been kind of rumblings all over the place that it's going to find its way into college athletics eventually. I guess we'll see if that happens to Rutgers. I don't think it'll be in the same way where it's just like a private equity firm just dumps a bunch of money into the athletic department, things like that. But it'll definitely be a better way to bring in revenue from the corporate route. And that's something that Rutgers has really struggled with, particularly lately. So it's going to be really important to find that business route, really find a way to get a lot of money into this athletic department, because again, the Big Ten's always going to be changing, and Rutgers needs to be at the forefront of that. And I think they actually have done a good job of targeting which direction they want to go to, and it is a new direction. Now it could completely fall flat. Obviously, there's the potential there, but there's definitely some upside, and I like that they're taking a swing here, not just trying to go with the the usual route that we're seeing some other schools go with. It might be a safer route where you have the more traditional searches that also wrapped up a lot quicker. I mean, schools like Michigan State, Georgia Tech, Maryland. But I like that Rutgers is taking a big swing, recognizing that they need to be at the forefront of embracing the professional aspect and how college athletics is changing, and they're really going to try to take a swing to do that. Now, whether it's La Femina, whether it's another name, we'll have to wait and see. But I think the idea is a good idea, and I think La Femina would be a really good hire to bring in. Like you mentioned, all the connections that he has in the business world. He has sports experience too, which definitely helps. Maybe not college athletics experience, but obviously, like you said, that's where the COO type role comes in. So there's definitely a lot of work to do. And if it is La Femina, I think it's a really good hire. And then if it's another name, we'll have to wait and see what their background is. But I think tapping into that business route, especially where Rutgers is located in the Northeast, right by New York City, it's in that market. I think it's a good direction. It just has taken a while to get to that direction, and we'll see how it eventually ends.
So we mentioned a second candidate, Rich. Who is the other candidate that was a finalist for the job? Or I say is a finalist for the job. Who knows where it actually stands right now? But who is that other candidate?
That is Mike Polisi. Posted about it the other day. He's a name to keep an eye on because we don't know what La Femina is going to do, what his decision is. Kind of go from there. But so there's like a lot of interesting ties for Polisi. He was he's a New Jersey native first and foremost. He's from Point Pleasant Beach, or Point Pleasant Beach High School alum, I should say. Was the associate director of the Scarlet Art Club back in '86 to '91. So there's some Rutgers ties there. Graduate of Purdue, Big Ten ties there. But he's also dealt with Rutgers for a long time. He worked for Nelligan Sports Marketing from 2000 to 2014. Nelligan Sports Marketing was basically Rutgers' go-to. They had a whole deal that was a 13-year deal, I believe, and ended up getting kaput in 2013 when Tim Pernetti decided to end the marketing deal with them. And it just was about lack of trying for Nelligan Sports, but by then he was already gone, so it didn't really matter. But there is some connections there. He's also connected to Sean Frazier, which I was just realizing today. Sean Frazier was an assistant coach for football at Maine in '95. From 1990 to '95, Mike Polisi was the assistant athletic director. After he left in '95, Sean Frazier took over as assistant athletic director in '96 at Maine. So there is some ties there. I'm assuming they probably know each other. So this would also make a lot more sense why maybe Sean Frazier's the guy at number 2, regardless of who the AD ends up being. But either way, Mike Polisi has some ties to Rutgers, has worked with them previously. In the past 10 years, he's been the executive VP and then VP of Van Wagner College, which basically handles all the advertising for colleges across the country. There's numerous articles out there about him, about looking for not only helping out the big schools and the big names out there, but also helping out the little schools and the little guy. Like I think they just signed a deal with Georgia State, but they're really well known for their signage behind home plate of MLB games. So there's the professional markets of that too. Also, like the NBA, they have like the marketing on the courts now. For college football specifically, they were one of the ones that got involved with the field goal net sponsoring. I think most of the schools actually have Allstate for that, but there's all kinds of different sponsors you could throw up there. But yeah, no, I mean he's very involved in the college sports marketing world, so I think that would also help Rutgers from that aspect. He's worked with Rutgers previously when at Nelligan Sports. I mean, yeah, and then obviously the Scarlet Art Club. So there's just a lot of ties, Big Ten ties. This is just another business guy, and it makes sense if that's the route they want to go. And then you find the number 2, that's your actual AD handling all the other stuff. But I think either way, I personally, I don't think you can go wrong with either option, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely 2 outside the box candidates in terms of the traditional AD model. And additionally, I mean, both guys have Rutgers connections. Both guys are New Jersey natives. Both guys kind of know what it's like on the ins and outs of the university. So there's not that kind of ramp up that we would see in the past. Additionally, I mean, it's clear that they've prioritized, increasing revenue and building up business relationships with this type of hire. which is nice to see that Rutgers is a little, not reactive for once. They're proactive with this kind of decision. Mm-hmm. Is there anything we didn't cover with the athletic director search that either of you wanted to mention before we move on to some recruiting news?
Alec, you got anything?
I mean, I will say, aside from just the connections that he has with, surprisingly, both of the candidates, Sean Frazier has for a while been one of the more respected ADs at the lower levels, and he's always really been a candidate to move up. So I think that would be a pretty solid number 2 as well. Even, I wouldn't even have been, I wouldn't have been upset if he was the choice that athletic director of Rutgers opted to go with the more traditional route. So I think if they do end up landing him, I think that would be a pretty good combo.
I will say Sean Frazier was one of the top names for Penn State before they got their guy. He was also a top name for Maryland this year before they got their guy. Like you said before, Mike said before, he was a finalist for Rutgers a couple times. So, I mean, I don't think he's bad at his job. I think if you look at Northern Illinois, too, they've made some noise over the past couple of years. He's also been pretty well known for their fundraising over there. And that's one of the main points of the job right now, on top of the fact being, hey, an Alabama student athlete football player. Like, I mean, you can never go wrong with a football guy because football inevitably runs the bus. Also worked pretty heavily with a guy named, I don't know, Barry Alvarez. You ever hear of him? So that kind of helps too. And I'm sure he's probably, I'm sure they've asked him about Sean Frazier too and see if he'd be good at the job. So he's just got a lot of ties. I think he's good. He's been an AD at multiple locations now. He's been in the Northeast. I think it adds up as a solid number 2. But in terms of the number 1, Polisi's worked with all kinds of brands. If you go on social media, he's always touting it up. He's signed some Jersey Mike's deal with the NJ Devils. So Jersey Mike's Arena, boom, boom, boom. Here we go. Connections. Are either of them going to come in and just be like, hey, here's $100 million for your NIL funds? Like, no, that's not going to happen. Hell, I don't even know if they'll get like 15, 20 mil right away for their NIL funds. I'd be shocked. But I do think that there's a pro to having these business people. They already have relationships in the business world. And the whole point is to attract people that don't care about Rutgers currently to donate to Rutgers. How do you do that? It's very hard. I don't know how to do that. Otherwise I would not be running the site. I would be in the business world and working at JP Morgan or something like that. But these guys seem like they have the resumes to do that. So we'll wait and see if it ends up working out or if it even ends up happening for either of them. Maybe there'll be a third candidate that we'll never not even talk about and just boom on the spot.
Yeah, it doesn't seem likely at this point, but I guess that's always a possibility until something is finalized. But stay tuned to the boards because that's where we'll have that information first before we can get it out to you on a podcast. But that's kind of all we got regarding the athletic director search. So let's turn to some recruiting. Let's talk about some ranking updates. The first new edition of the Rivals 300 was released yesterday or today, one of the two.
Yesterday. First one.
Yesterday. A big mover for the Scarlet Knights, a current commit. Buddy Collier was already a commit. Obviously, he was already a 5-star or already a 4-star recruit. Sorry, but he's now in the top 100 of the Rivals 300. This is one of the highest ranked recruits in Rutgers history. He's ranked number 92 overall in the class of 2026 right now. Richie, obviously it's always nice when Rutgers recruits get that kind of accolade, but is this kind of a blessing and a curse? Because does this now open him up to maybe more bigger schools wanting to go after a kid with that lofty ranking, or does that not really matter?
I'd say definitely plays a factor. Like schools are going to be looking at him a lot more heavily now. Like people say rankings don't matter, but that's not true. Like you see him getting this huge ranking and all of a sudden all these other schools start following him on social media. So put 2 and 2 together. It's like, oh, that kind of doesn't make sense. Oh, wait, no, it does. Rankings do mean something. Coaches do actually value them a little bit. I'm not saying it's the end all be all for stuff like that, but like it definitely plays a major factor. He's going to be interesting to see if you can hold on to. Like technically, if we're technically speaking, like he doesn't even have a high school right now. Like I remember he announced his transfer from New Mingoretti, hasn't picked a new high school. I don't know what's going to go on there. I know his brother plays at William Penn High School in Pennsylvania. Best case scenario, he picks another Pennsylvania school. Worst case scenario, this man's going to IMG or St. Francis, and it's like, oh shit! Like then every school is going to know about him. So we'll kind of wait and see how that ends up playing out. But he says all the right things about Rutgers. Demir Shaw has been the lead recruiter here, and really has done a hell of a job. They convinced him not to go to Penn State. Penn State still reached out in June to try to get him an official. He wasn't about it. It's all Rutgers all the way right now. So we'll kind of just wait and see. But a huge rankings boost. And Alec can kind of speak on this too. But it shouldn't be too much of a shock considering we watched him at the Under Armour camp dominate and win DL MVP over several Power 4 kids.
Yeah, absolutely. He looked really dominant. And he'd also said, when I talked to him after he was done at the camp, he said the coaches are still talking to him, telling him about putting on some more weight. I think he was 215, I want to say, when we talked to him. So he's going to keep putting on some more weight. That's one thing the coaches wanted to make sure they kept hammering down with him. That was before his official visit as well, which he said he was excited for. It seemed like everyone had a good time there. So yeah, definitely a much deserved rankings boost. But yeah, we'll see how Rutgers is able to hold on to him. I think some of the other guys got some boosts as well in the 2026 rankings also.
Yeah, just to touch on the recruiting rankings not mattering thing for a second. I mean, some coaches don't care. I truly think that Shiano probably doesn't care at all about what the kids ranked when he's taking them, and you've seen that with some of the kids they've landed, and then subsequently some of the ratings boosts that they've seen. But I remember there was a famous story about Jimbo Fisher basically just using recruiting rankings when he's looking to add players, because a lot of these coaches, especially at big time schools, they have incentives in their contract for every time you land a recruiting class above this. They'll say like a top 10 by either On3 or Rivals or whatever, then they get a certain bonus. So there's incentives to maybe the tie going to the guy who's rated higher in these kind of situations, and that's not the same for everybody, but that does play a part. So I just wanted to also put that little anecdote out there.
Yeah, I should have clarified too. On3's not really a recruiting ranking anymore. So everything high school recruiting rankings, everything high school team news, everything high school is straight Rivals. It's all Rivals branded now. There's no more On3 ranking. On3 will strictly handle the college aspect of things, the NFL version of things. That's all On3. Rivals will handle all the recruiting stuff. What are we? We're kind of a weird in between. But so it's now the Rivals ranking and the Rivals industry ranking. Industry rankings, 33% Rivals, 33% 247, 33% ESPN. And then mixed together, boom, here you go, done rating. And it's also no longer that 5.5, 5.6 bullshit that no one really knew what was happening. It just didn't make sense. It was just, I guess everyone just wanted a 5 next to their profile, I guess. So, here you go, you're a 5-star, you're a 5.5 though. Now it's a 0 to 100 rating, or well, I guess 80 to 100 rating, because I don't feel like anyone's really a 79. Maybe there's some 70s. I don't know, to be honest. But for the most part, all Rutgers guys will be 80 and above, it seems like. But yeah, number 91 in the country, number 93 overall rating. It's pretty fucking good.
Yeah, not bad at all. One thing that surprised me was Owen Wafel, your New Jersey kid, is now number 8 overall.
Luke Wafel, sorry, Owen's his brother. Luke
Wafel's number 8 overall. Obviously, he's committed to USC. But who are some other guys to, not keep an eye on, but who are some other guys of note in the new rankings in 2026 before we move on to future classes?
Obviously, just sticking with Rutgers here. Elias Koch saw a big jump. We're going to go based on the industry because that combines everyone, and I think that's just fair. He goes from number 682 to number 400 in the country. He is now a 4-star per Rivals for those industry rankings. He's a 4-star wide receiver, a 4-star edge rusher now in Whitey Collier. And then you also got Brandon Murray, who goes up from, where is he at now? He goes from number 981 to number 543. On3's been really high on him for a while now. And I'm intrigued by this one because I see a little bit of stuff on tape. I'm intrigued to see how much better he can get this year in his senior year. But for him to move up to number 543, that's like a 400 plus ranking boost. That's insane. Tavian Branch saw a little bit of boost. Dazier Carter, another 4-star. So technically there's only 3 4-stars per the industries right now. And that's YD, Dazier, and Elias Koch. That's 2 wide receivers. We're talking about 2 4-star wide receivers coming to Rutgers. It's huge for the rebuild of that offense, which is kind of, I guess, still rebuilding. But Jared Smith is up there. Chris Hewitt Jr., I'm trying to think who else. Xavier Stern took a nice little rankings boost. He also saw a nearly 400 plus spot rankings boost. He's now the number 40 quarterback, number 22 in Pennsylvania overall, number 733 in the country. And that's after the On3 staff and the Rivals staff all got to see him at Under Armour, got to see him at Elite 11. So it shows that there is some potential there. I know a lot of people were questioning him when he was committed and he was unranked per Rivals and he was a 5.5 per Rivals, but he does have a ton of potential. There's some other guys that moved up and down, but nothing else too crazy. But yeah, I mean, Rutgers is number 26 in the country right now, and it's pretty solid.
I don't know if you mentioned this. I thought it was interesting. Logan Anthony went up nearly or a little over 300 spots as well. Now up from 107 to 79 for interior offensive lineman. But other than that, not too many guys that have taken big time jumps. Tanner Raymond and Reese Beck both got their first rankings. Beck is 1,044, 100 ranked defensive tackle, and then Raymond 1511 and the number 140 linebacker in the country.
He'll be getting an On3 ranking soon, or well, Rivals ranking. Duh. So we'll see. Those are all industries technically. So I don't know. Whatever. There's too many rankings.
Yeah, there's a lot of rankings. So just take each one with a grain of salt. Lean on the Rivals ranking because I feel like those the best in the industry personally. But
especially with the staff we have now. Woo.
Oh yeah, you guys. I mean, we're blowing it up. It's kind of crazy. The talent that On3 is kind of putting together. It's like the freaking Avengers.
It's insane.
But let's talk the 27 class because these rankings really kind of surprised me, not based on where certain guys in the area sat, but more so based on how well Rutgers is doing with so many guys in the updated Rivals 300 for the class of 2027. Mm-hmm. Let's kind of just scan through that list and talk through some guys of note and talk about where Rutgers stands in their recruitment. Now, I know we have that as a Google sheet. Is that listed online somewhere yet? Or
I put out the article today. I could send you the link real quick.
Let's, you did a ton of work on that. So let's just pull the article up and we can kind of talk through it if that's cool.
Long. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess I'll share it. And Rich, you're the... You are the recruiting specialist, expert, whatever you want to call yourself here, so you can just kind of riff. We'll talk about these guys one at a time. The first one, I guess this is just based on their ranking, but number 39 overall, Matthew Gregory, the receiver from O&J Roberts in Pennsylvania. He is a 5'11", 170-pound wide receiver. Yeah, Rutgers doing pretty well with him here, huh?
They're doing solid. It's going to be tough to convince them to leave Penn State. Leave Pennsylvania and not go to Penn State. Penn State's been pushing for him. Penn State's hosted him multiple times. And you're going to see Penn State a lot on this list, I'll be honest. A lot of the guys Rutgers is after. Penn State's also heavily after. Penn State's doing very good in 27. They already have 3 of the top 30 kids. So it is going to be tough. But out of the 50 offers Rutgers sent out, and instead of going through all these, because there's 30 of them to go through.
Okay.
Out of the 50 offers, there's 27 of them are uncommitted still. And they're all in the top 300. 30 of the top 50 or 30 of the 50 offers are in the top 300. That's just goes to show you where Rutgers is recruiting right now. If you want to scroll down to the next name, though, that's one I feel really confident about Rutgers right now. I'm not even going to try it. Someone else could try it if they want.
Yeah, that's way too many syllables for my ability to pronounce stuff. So I'm
just going to call him Olu. I feel like Olu's fine because it's Olu. Okay, that works. Rutgers is really doing very well with him right now. St. Peter's prep kid, massive kid. We also saw him at Under Armour camp. Looked really well for his size and age. I think he finished in the top 5 group, if I recall correctly, of offensive linemen. I'm not 100% sure. Penn State, again, pushing pretty heavily. They have Naz Oliver as their director of recruiting, former St. Peter's prep guy himself. So he's going to be something to watch. I think Rutgers right now is in the lead. Very early lead. He's not anywhere near close to deciding. But Rutgers has done pretty well when it comes to head-to-head battles against Penn State in 26. Can they do that again in 27? We'll wait and see. But I do like their chances there. I know the next guy people are going to want to know about, so we could just kind of touch on him a little bit. The fact that Rutgers isn't going to probably land Amari Saab tells me they're most likely out for Xavier Saab. The Saab brothers, the 3 of them, have really not super looked into Rutgers, I should say. They weren't super interested in Rutgers. There was a little bit for Amari, and it seemed like Amari was interested, but then Rutgers kind of shied away from it when they got the receivers in their class. Keon Saab has always, he kind of showed a lot of interest in Rutgers in his high school recruitment when Fran Brown was here. Without Fran Brown, it's really hard to land South Jersey kids specifically because you have so many different routes there between Fran Brown being a South Jersey guy, Elijah Robinson being a South Jersey guy. So there's Syracuse is in. You have Penn State having a bunch of South Jersey guys. They also have Belton as the head coach at Winslow Township, which produces probably the most South Jersey guys right now. That's going to kind of point them towards Penn State a little bit. So it's going to be tough for Rutgers in South Jersey. Now, they do still land dudes. They landed Cameron Green in 26. They'll probably land another one or two in 2027. But I just don't see Xavier Saab ending up at Rutgers.
It's a shame, too, because he was really impressive at the Under Armour camp that we were at. Probably one of the best wide receivers.
He's really good. I think, didn't someone have him ranked in like the top 10?
I think On3's rankings at the time had him at like number 8 in their rankings.
He's 13 per the industry right now, so it goes to show you how good he is. But, I mean, going through the rest of this list, I'd say 89, Terrence Smith is one to keep a close eye on. Rutgers is probably in the lead there too right now, but this is a tough one. Penn State's pushing, obviously, Pennsylvania kid. Penn State makes sense. Notre Dame is one to keep an eye on too. Notre Dame is very high on him. Notre Dame's been quietly very good with Pennsylvania kids over the past cycle. They stole Penn State's running backs coach in Juwan Sider, and he's kind of just brought those ties over from Penn State to Notre Dame. So it's not going to be an easy land, but I do like Rutgers right now for him specifically, I should say.
I don't know if it was quietly. They were kind of dominating Penn State, at least for the 2026 class for a bit. And they got Joey O'Brien. It's the first name that comes to mind. I think a couple more too.
Oh, Notre Dame? Yeah, 100%. Notre Dame landed like multiple kids. Joey O'Brien's teammate, I can't remember his name, the offensive lineman. Whatever. Either way, doesn't matter.
Gavin Sidwar.
Gavin Sidwar.
No, they didn't land him, but he's
not him.
Joey O'Brien's teammate. Yeah.
Yes, you're right. There's a lot of running backs on this list, and people are going to ask about the one specifically at the very end, and that's Abdul Toure, because we didn't list him because he doesn't have an offer. I don't know if he'll get an offer, but he's ranked number 71 per the Rivals rankings. It's at the very, very bottom. But so there's like 4 or 5 running backs above this list that we already we didn't go through, but they're on the list that Rutgers has above him on their recruiting board. Will they offer Toure? I don't know. Is he related to the other Toures? He is not. So it's just another Toure in New Jersey, and it's just crazy because there's Turay, there's Toure, and somehow those two are related, and then this Abdul Toure is not related to them. So
and also they're all really good.
That's that too. They're all pretty damn good.
Talk us through why Rutgers would not offer a New Jersey kid who's ranked pretty highly. Do they want to see reciprocal interest before sending an offer, or do they think that they have other guys ranked higher on their board? Like, why would they not offer this kid?
So there's other kids higher on the board for sure. That's all for starters. On top of that, I think he's a little bit small. I don't know how. It's tough because they have guys that like Corey Brown from Tottenville. They've been after forever. That 5'10's generous. No offense to the kid. But Corey Brown's a kid from Tottenville they've been after, and he's around 5'9", and they like him a lot. They've hosted him like 15 times already. Senior Brooks they just offered from St. Francis, stud. I don't think they get him. Xavier Bala, they had some interest in St. Anthony's kids. We know St. Anthony's, Rutgers, a little bit of a pipeline. Had just got an Ohio State offer. Isaiah Rogers seems like their top back right now, and he's on this list at 147. 74, I lied. 147 per the industry. I read that wrong. So he's one to keep an eye on. I think Rutgers is doing really, really well there to the point where I think they might be able to end up landing him. They've landed some pretty highly touted running backs in the past. I think they could end up winning this one. There's also Braden Tyson from Georgia, who just announced the top 8. Rutgers is in it, among some also big-name heavy hitters. So I don't think that one happens. There's a kid from Georgia, another kid from Georgia, and Quintarius Gibson, who they're after. So Rutgers is just kind of waiting to see what happens with those top guys, and then I could see them revisiting Toure down the line. They got to be careful, though, because a school like Syracuse might just end up landing Toure, and then all of a sudden it's like, shit, like we went for the top guys, and it backfired on us. But who knows? They have some options here, and I think Isaiah Rogers, if you can land him, he's probably the dude. And we saw him at camp too, and he was pretty damn good. So we'll have to just wait and see how it kind of plays out. But yeah, no offer for Toure just yet.
Yeah, I guess the thing with him, I mean, obviously we see Rutgers go after shorter running backs, but kind of in a similar mold to Kyle Monungai. They're a little bit more stout, obviously the lower body as well. Touré's listed at 5'10", 175, so definitely a smaller back. I mean, he has the production last year at St. John's Vianney. He ran for, I want to say, over 2,200 yards or something like that. So he's going up to St. Peter's Prep, going to get a boost in competition as well, so we'll see how he does there. Yeah, it's. I think it would be interesting to see how the rest of the running backs shake out and see if they do end up offering him. I'm pretty sure he's visited before, unofficial visit during the spring, I want to say. So definitely really impressive stats in that regard. But we'll have to wait and see what he looks like this year at St. Peter's Prep, and then how the rest of the running back room shakes out. I was pretty impressed with what I saw at the camp. Really athletic guy at running back. Definitely a pretty solid pass catcher too. We saw a lot of the pass catching drills for running backs. So this would be an interesting one that I would definitely like to see Rutgers get involved in, just for the intrigue of what he looks like.
I mean, listen, 2,500 yards, 37 touchdowns. There's no knock on that. Mind you, a lot of it's against Middletown North, Manalapan, Wall Township, Marlboro, Carteret, Raritan, Matawan, Manasquan. It's like, those aren't good. Even like the St. Joe's Metuchen one, okay, maybe. Notre Dame, they're okay. They lost their top three players when they all signed with Rutgers. Red Bank Catholic's the one that stands out, 25 for 177. And then Pope John, 35 for 225. They're not saying they're powerhouse programs, Pope John and Red Bank Catholic. They're solid. So he does put up solid numbers. I'm really intrigued to see what he can do against this Big North this year. Can he put up those crazy numbers against those Big North teams? Because if he can, his recruitment's going to explode.
Yeah, I mean, looking at St. Peter's Prep schedule, they got Paramus Catholic, Union City Shabazz, who's been really good the last few years, Del Barton, St. Joseph's Regional, DePaul Catholic, Pope John, Don Bosco. So definitely a boost in competition. Should be interesting to look at.
Just wanted to highlight a cool feature on Three's profiles for players. They show the distance from where a player lives to those specific schools on their profile now under the top teams. They also have this cool feature for guys who were drafted at their position in the last 5 years, and also total. So I just wanted to point that out. I thought that was pretty cool as we go through this list here. So the most important position in any recruiting class is quarterback. Where does Rutgers stand with some of the top targets in the 27 class at quarterback? Because, I mean, quite a few of the guys are on this Rivals 300 that Rutgers has already offered and seems to be doing a good job with.
So technically, there's only one quarterback offer out currently in the 27 class.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, that's Peter Bork. They're just not going to land him. There's just no way. Probably going to end up at SBOURQUE. I don't know if that makes it easier. Yeah, they're not going to land him. He'll probably end up at Michigan. The other name on this class that is a local kid, sort of. He's a New York kid, and this is why I listed him. He plays at Cheshire Academy. It's at the very bottom. That is Keegan Crozier. I don't think Rutgers ends up landing him either. I think he's probably leaning Penn State, whereas Bork's leaning Michigan. So you might end up seeing them in the future, regardless. We saw both of them at Under Armour. So this is where it gets a little bit tricky. There's no other names in the top 300 that I see Rutgers really landing as far as a quarterback currently. Could that change? Of course it could change. There's a couple names out there, but they haven't offered any of them yet. Like Caden Davis is probably the most familiar name for most people. He's from Donovan Catholic. He played at where the hell did he play? Seton Hall Prep last year. He's worked out for the staff multiple times this year at multiple camps this summer. I think it was like the June 11th camp, and then it was the right before the barbecue they had a camp. So he worked out in front of the staff again at that camp. He's someone to kind of monitor. He's a Tinton Falls native playing down at Donovan. We know they just landed Michael Thomas III out of Donovan. They were after Kai Pritchard out of Donovan, so they do have some ties there. They've kept a lot of close ties on him, or close tabs on him. He hasn't gotten an offer yet. He does have Maryland. He does have West Virginia and Duke. He does have a couple of like the Power Fours that are, I guess, East Coast-ish. So it's going to be interesting to see if Rutgers ends up offering or not. I think he's a little lower on the board. I think they're kind of feeling some things out. And if you saw the War Room last week, there's about 3 or 4 different names on that 2027 list that Rutgers is looking at and monitoring, but they just haven't offered it yet. Rutgers takes their time with quarterbacks. And I was talking to Tony Rassiopi, the quarterback trainer, about this recently. And he basically told me, he goes, I like how Rutgers does it for the sole fact that the longer you wait, it might hurt you with some quarterbacks because they get pissed off and they're like, where's my offer? Why isn't Rutgers offered? I'm down the street. But in reality, the longer you wait, the more polished you'll see how a quarterback is developing. And that kind of can be said for just about any kid. I think waiting definitely hurts a little bit because these QBs are deciding before anyone else in classes. So it's definitely going to, like, you want to get them committed ASAP. But you could take a kid and, like, 2 weeks later, you could be like, oh, my God. Or 2 months later, I should say. After he's not developing, you're like, what the hell? I thought this kid was going to develop into a superstar, and he's not. Whereas Rutgers kind of waits a little bit. That's when they find an Xavier Stern, who's a little bit of an under-the-radar type get. And then you start looking at it, and he starts getting a rise in the recruiting rankings. And it's like, okay, well, see, they waited, and the kid was already kind of developed a little more. Now you see how he's going to continue to develop, hopefully. So it is tough. I don't know what the right call is there, but Rutgers is very, very stingy, I guess, when it comes to offering quarterbacks. They want to make sure they do all their homework before they do that. And right now there's only one QB offer, and he's just not going to end up at Rutgers, pending a couple $1 million.
Okay, that's fair. Anybody else on this list that stood out to you, either because Rutgers is doing particularly well with them or because they're a local kid?
I don't think so. I think there's names on there like you can monitor. Anthony Roberts was one I was keeping a close eye on. He's from Rollsville High School, North Carolina. They just landed Cannon Marshall out of a Rollsville High School. He's technically a 26, 25 kid, whatever you want to call him. They're doing pretty well there. He was at the barbecue event. I think Rutgers has a good shot there. Javian Robinson, that's the one I forgot. Number 234. He was at Rutgers for like a June 16th random like Friday visit. And I think he could be that first commit. He already told us Rutgers is his favorite. He loves everything about it. He's like a slot receiver probably at the next level. I think he's like 5'10"-ish. Or, oh, maybe I'm wrong. Jeez, I'm just off today. I think we had him listed as a slot receiver. I thought I'm thinking Rivals. I'm not thinking. Yeah, he was an athlete / slot receiver for Rivals. Now it's on 3 or whatever you want to call it. Either way, Rutgers is doing very well there. Dave Brock has done a great job. He loved everything about his visit. I wouldn't be surprised if he was the first commit. Betting odds right now, he's probably the heavy favorite. So take it with a grain of salt, though, because someone could just pop out of nowhere.
Yeah, no, it seems like Rutgers has a lot of they're doing pretty well with some high-end guys, more so than any class I can remember in recent history this early. Anything else that we didn't cover that either of you guys wanted to hit on regarding recruiting or anything else before we head out of here?
Alec, you got anything?
I'm trying to think. MLB draft was recently.
That's cool. Yeah.
Trevor Cohen, Ty Doucette were selected from this year's team, and then Anthony Frobose, I hope I'm saying that name right. He was a commit and a signee from this class from Lakeland High School in New York, was drafted by the Mets in the 9th round. Trevor Cohen was drafted in the 3rd round by the Giants, Doucette in the 10th round by the Cincinnati Reds, and Frobose in the 9th round by the Mets. He was originally coming to Rutgers as a two-way player, as a shortstop and a pitcher, which I thought was really interesting. I want to say he's going to be a shortstop with the Mets in their system, so he's expected to sign with them. So subtract one member of the 2025 recruiting class for Rutgers baseball, but that's because he's going to the majors or to the Major League Baseball system.
Yeah, he is interesting because I was talking to someone that's in the know with Rutgers baseball, and they said that all the recruiting sites had like nothing on this kid. But he said when you talk to scouts and this and that and like MLB draft departments or MLB front office departments, they all knew about him. They all raved about him, and that's why he's a 9th rounder without even stepping foot on a college baseball field. So good, but all 3 are expected to probably sign. I think Fabroche, however you say it, Fabroge. I feel like it's Fabroge. A little Italian.
I don't know. I just said Frobose. I don't know.
Anyway, he signed, right? I think.
I believe he's expected to.
Okay, and I expect the other 2. I'll tell you right now, the other 2 are definitely signing. So that will probably be it for Rutgers in the draft.
Also, I know a little bit off topic. Another one of the guys from the 2027 class I liked from that Under Armour camp, Aiden O'Neill from Don Bosco Prep. Seems like there's going to be a lot of attention for him, but another guy that I wanted to shout out at defensive line. I thought he looked really impressive at that camp.
Cool. That's all I've got. We don't July is usually a slow month for us, so that's kind of why things have slowed down. Dead period. Coaches are on vacation. The first games of the season won't be played until next month. But things will start to pick up very quickly. So stay tuned to the boards and your podcast feeds. I did just see one other news item pop up as we were recording this. Dylan Harper has been shut down for the remainder of Summer League. Not an injury that anybody should be concerned with. It's pretty standard that they want to see these guys get 2-3 maybe games under their belt, especially the top players. Just it's not worth getting them hurt, just getting their feet wet. The Mavericks did the same thing with Cooper Flagg. The Jazz did the same thing with Ace Bailey. He's done for the summer as well. But just wanted to put that out there so nobody's staying up till 11 o'clock to watch the Spurs Hornets Summer League game and are disappointed when Dylan doesn't get in.
You're sick of doing that.
Yeah, I think he proved everything that he needed to prove in those 2 games that he played in. He looked awesome.
Yeah, he did for sure. Well, that's all we've got for today. Thanks once again for listening, for telling a friend. Richie's got one more thing.
Yes, if you haven't signed up for the night report, if you're having issues still accessing the night report, it's still Rutgers.rivals.com. If you have the forums bookmarked, you're probably lost. If you are lost, go to Rutgers.rivals.com and it'll take you to the news site or to nightreport.com. It will figure it out for you. If you are having issues logging in, email me at Richie@gmail.com, and I'll try to help you out as best as possible. I might have to point you to the support desk, and it's going to be miserable for the next couple of days until they figure it out. But once they do figure it out, you'll be happy. So if you aren't on the site yet, message me. If you are trying to become a member of the site, you can sign up right now for $1, a single $1 for your first week.
Wow.
It only costs you $1. You can check out the site. You don't like it after that week, cancel. After that week is up, if you end up staying on board, you also get a free year subscription of The Athletic. So you have The Athletic, Rivals, 2-in-1 for the price of 1. So sign up today. If you want to sign up, again, Rutgers.rivals.com, and you can probably figure it out from there, considering it says join now everywhere. So, yeah.
Also, over the weekend, the historical message board posts finished importing, so all good on that front.
And the free boards are up for everyone else that was crying, basically. They are up. They're back. Everyone relax. It was only a couple days. But they're all good to go.
Cool. Well, once again, thanks for listening, everyone. Thanks for rating, reviewing, subscribing to the YouTube channel and your favorite podcasting app. That really helps grow the show, as well as 5-star reviews. So thank you for everybody who has done that. But for me, Richie and Alec, this has been another edition of the Night Report podcast, signing off.